Welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 197. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at the corner of knitandtea.com, and that's where every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop where I sell my hand-spun yarns called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and we have a Ravelry group also called The Corner of Knit and Tea. Hi, how are you? It is a Sunday, August... let me think about it, 26th. It is in the morning, and I am getting ready to go off to a spinning Sunday. That is a group of people sort of in western Kansas, eastern Kansas. I know my directions. And it's Kansas City, and then as far west as Topeka. And we get together once a month to spin. And that is at a friend's house here in Kansas City today. So as soon as I'm done recording, I'm going to take a few photographs and then get myself on my way up there. So I hope that you have had a lovely week. Mine has been super, super busy. I am coming up on my last official week at my day job, so there is lots going on there, and I am starting some of the onboarding for my new job, so there's lots going on there. Next weekend is a long weekend in the United States for the Labor Day holiday, and I am looking forward to having an extra day off. I still have not finished cleaning my craft room / office. I'm recording in the very narrow bit that looks quite clean. So I still need to do something about that, and that will probably happen my first week at work at the new job, and I will take you on a tour of my new studio / office. I just really have not had a chance to get in and fix it up yet. So that is what's going on here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the knit along. We officially announced it this week. That is the Fall Sweater knit along. And actually I've been calling it a KCAL for knit / crochet along. Crochet is totally welcome. I always slip into my vernacular, which is knit along, but you are more than welcome to crochet. This is sponsored by Brown Sheep Company and Yarn Company, and I am super thrilled to be working with them, and I am hosting it in the Corner of Knit and Tea group. So there is a thread, you can go check it out. The rules are pretty simple. No whips on this one. We'll start September 1st and run through November 30th. And we will knit sweaters, and you can knit any sweater, knit or crochet any sweater, any size, any weight yarn. The only real requirement is that you use Brown Sheep yarns, because they are sponsoring and they are also offering up a prize, which is a sweater quantity of Lamb's Pride. And you can use any of their yarns. I have had some inquiries from people who would like to knit sweaters along with us, but will not be using Brown Sheep yarns. As far as I'm concerned, the more the merrier. You are welcome to knit along with us. Unfortunately, you just will not be eligible for prizes. But at the end of it, you will have a beautiful sweater, which is prize enough, and you'll have a cheering squad. So you are more than welcome to join us, even if you are not using Brown Sheep yarns. That will only be required if you want to be in the running for prizes. So any sweater, any size, any yarn, as long as it's Brown Sheep, or if it's not Brown Sheep, come join us anyway. Like I said, Brown Sheep is donating the grand prize. I will also be offering some pattern prizes. And I think that covers it. There is a tag in the group to use on your Instagram and Twitter if you want to join us. And I believe that covers all the details. We have people in there posting that they want to join and talking about sweater ideas. You are more than welcome to swatch this week and figure out what you want to do. Oh, and then the final thing is you are more than welcome to double, triple, quadruple dip. Use it for any other knit along it is used for. Like I said, the only thing that we're not doing is we're not allowing whips in this one. So it has to be a new one, and it has to be completed in the 3-month time span. So I hope you're getting excited about that. I am, and that's actually one of the things I will talk about this week. So let's get started. My tea today is Mighty Leaf Pear Caramel. It is a black tea with pear and caramel flavors. I know it sounds a little bit weird. I got it a while ago. I really, really like it. And I've probably gotten through about half the bag because I've had it for a while now. And I am drinking in my Sparkle Dots mug, and now it's a Teavana mug. I was going to say I can't remember whether it's Teavana or David's, but it is Teavana. It's marked on the bottom of the cup. So that is a good black tea with just a taste of sweet from the caramel and then just a little tart of the pear. If you like pear flavored things, I really like this one. So let's get started on the knits. I don't have a ton to show you for this week. I guess I was busy and I did lots of little things. So we'll start with the fact that I have finished the mittens. You know I am not a mitten fan, because I have said that here. I don't know whether it's that they're really small or that the thumbs are really fiddly, but mittens are not my favorite thing to knit. However, I did knit them, and I knit them in the Brown Sheep Yarn Stratosphere that I talked about a couple weeks ago when I knit hats for Roxy and Miles, and I knit the matching mittens, and that is Brown Sheep's new superwash. It's a DK weight, 260-ish yards per skein, which are 100 grams. And so I knit the same pattern that I usually knit, which is the Simple Mittens by Tin Can Knits. And these are Miles mittens. I knit them in the toddler size, and the colorway is Hot Air Balloon. And I always put an I-cord on their mittens. You know, it's so funny because when I talk to people, they're like, oh, you're knitting an I-cord in between them. And I said, yeah, the kids are little, and this way if they take them off their hands, the mittens don't fall off, because Miles is notorious for pulling his socks off, and you know, and kids just do that. And it's so funny because everyone's like, oh yeah, I had one of those when I was a kid. This was a revelation for me and my sister when she first had Roxy and I was starting to knit child mittens, and I was like, oh hey, I could put an I-cord on them, because we both grew up in California and we didn't have mittens when we were little. So I think it's the cutest thing ever, and totally smart, and it just makes me laugh because, like I said, we didn't have them. So these are the toddler size. Like I said, a Hot Air Balloon, and these are for Miles. They match his red and blue hat. And then I also cranked through a pair for Miss Roxy. These are the child size, same pattern, and this was a Stratosphere in Flying a Kite. And I went ahead and did an I-cord for hers too. If she doesn't like it, we can just cut it off. So, because she's getting old enough that she may not want one. She'll be 5 in the fall, so we'll just have to see. So these are her mittens, and we'll see how those go. Then I thought about, and this is for you amateur dyers, this is a little something. So for Roxy's mittens, for her hat, I added a kind of turquoisey blue. And this is what I added, and it was a nice pop on the hat. I added it to the brim, and that's what I did the pom-pom in. But I only have a very little bit of it left, so I didn't have enough to use it on the mittens, although I thought about it. But then I decided, wouldn't it be neat if I dyed up some more of this and knit her a scarf to match? Because she... my sister has told me that she thinks scarves are very grown up now, and of course she's almost 5, so I'm not too worried about a scarf potentially choking her. I know it's a choking hazard with real little kids, but she's pretty good. So I thought about dyeing some more of this up, and the deal is that this is yarn that I dyed in my kitchen. It was a skein of Cascade Superwash, 220 Superwash. It was a really, really pale butter yellow, so super pale yellow, and I had bought it to do something else with it and I didn't remember, and I wanted to spice it up, so I stuck it in a dye pot with 4 packets of blue, what is it? It's a lemonade. It's like a raspberry lemonade, but it's a blue raspberry lemonade, and so that was what I came out with. Well, so I went looking and I didn't have another skein of this in my stash, and I was trying not to buy more yarn. So I went through and I found some leftover Cascade. It was the sport weight that I used for Roxy's sweater last year, and it was a pale icy blue. And I was like, well, I wonder if I could over dye it and whether it would look similar. The answer is no. So this is what I got over the pale blue, and this is what I got over the yellow. And as you can see, they are not the same tone. So I'm gonna let this one dry, and I might make something for Miles out of this one. It smells like raspberry lemonade Kool-Aid, and I dyed it, and it's basically kettle dyed. I did it in a pot on my stove, so it's got little bits of the original yarn was, it almost looks white there, but that's actually like a pale icy blue. That was what the original color of the yarn is. But when I put them next to each other today in the light, I was like, no, this one's much like greener, yellower, and this one's much bluer. So for you amateur dyers at home, these things happen. So I guess I'll use this for a hat for Miles or something. And I'm back to square one on Roxy, although I might go back and just do a purple with the rainbow that I did in my shawl earlier this year. And she just won't have a scarf that matches this set. She'll just have a rainbow scarf, which is fine. So I was proud of myself for cranking out those mittens this week and getting that done. The other thing that arrived this week, and this is not really knitting, but I thought I would show you anyway, is the toggle buttons that I ordered from Estonia came this week. So I need to put them on Roxy's sweater, but I just picked these up on Friday. They came from, I'm going to pronounce this terribly, Punoop, Puunnoop.etsy.com. And they are super sweet. They are just beautiful wooden toggles. They're about an inch and a quarter. And I am going to probably put 3 or 4 of them on Roxy's cardigan and then crochet an edge with some button loops for her. So that's what I've got. I'll try and work on that this week. But those are the finish for her sweater. So that's mostly it in terms of knits. The one other thing that I did do this week is I started to get ready for our sweater along. So I showed you last week the Prairie Spun DK from Brown Sheep that I'm using. It is the 100% wool. It is DK, and it is kind of, I mean, it's a 3-ply yarn, but it's a little bit, I don't even want to say rustic because it's actually super soft against my skin, but it's a little stickier, and so I thought it would be great for doing a colorwork sweater. So what I wanted to do was swatch and see if I got gauge, and so I had to do a little bit of negotiating because what I want to knit is Humulus, which is by Isabel Kramer, and it's got this kind of, it almost looks like acorns or thistles to me. I'm not really sure exactly what it's supposed to be, but it's got this great yokework chart. But of course, because it's a yokework chart for a yoked sweater, it has increases in it. So I was trying to sort of do a swatch in a roughly rectangular square fashion, and also make the chart work for me. So I just knit a little bit of the chart just to see. My contrast color is a magenta in coneflower, and I'll talk a little bit about how I did this swatch, but this is my swatch, and I am super pleased with it. I am definitely on gauge. This is washed and blocked, and I am super, super excited about this. So the pale gray is Rain Cloud, and the pink is Coneflower, and I'm super excited. So I can't tell if those are acorns or thistles, and then there's another underneath. Basically, it repeats this geometric pattern, and then you've got another set underneath. So I was going to talk just briefly about how I did the swatch. The sweater is in the round, and I'm doing it as a pullover. That is how it's written. I do know some people have done it as a cardigan. And because it's colorwork and I'm using sticky wool, I'm going, you could steek it. But so I decided for the most accurate swatch that I needed to knit my swatch in the round. And so I knit my swatch in the round, and I added an extra couple columns, and then I just cut it open. So I totally steeked my swatch. I did not stabilize the edges. They have held just fine. I would never do that for a sweater. I would stabilize the edges if I were working on a sweater, but I decided I didn't need to bother stabilizing these because A, it was a swatch, so it didn't matter if it unraveled a little bit at the edges, and I just decided it didn't need to be so permanent. So yeah, I just snipped right through my knitting, and then I laid it out flat to dry, and I'll just take the gauge from the center section here, not too close to the edges, and I think I haven't actually measured it yet, but I look like I am right on gauge, which is about 5 stitches to the inch. and I think I have done that both in the color work and the remainder, so I should be good on this sweater. I'll have to measure it out later, but I used the needle size it suggested for the body, which would be the pale, just the plain gray, and then I went up one size to do the color work, and I think that'll be fine. So I actually need 3 needle sizes for this. The main body size, 1 smaller for the cuffs and collar, and then 1 larger for the color work. So that is going to be my color work sweater, and I cannot wait to cast it on, but I will wait until next Saturday before I actually dig in, because that is September 1st. But now I consider myself prepared, and all I need to do is just finish winding my skeins. So I already wound the pink, obviously, but I have all of the gray ones to wind. So the other thing that I did this week was because partially when I was avoiding the mittens, and partially because I have so I got in the habit when I was doing the Harry Potter knitting, house cup knitting, which was basically knitting for imaginary internet points. I got in the habit of setting my projects up so that I started some stuff at the beginning of the month and finished by the end of the month. And so I have worked in monthly goals for a while now. And so I still work that way. And it also works for knit-alongs and other things. But so I had a bunch of August project goals, and I got through them all, and so I hit the end of the month, and I could cast something else on, but I decided rather than cast something else on, I should work on something I already had. And I looked over, and sitting patiently in my knitting basket waiting for me, even though I haven't touched it in months, was my Ripple Along Crochet Afghan. So this is, I am using a pattern. It is by Lucy of Attic 24, or Lucy, she is Attic 24 on Ravelry. She is primarily a crocheter. I just want to see where my loop is. And I have been using all my leftovers to do her crochet ripple along. I'm using sock weight yarn, and I think I'm using a size D hook. I don't know. It's a hook that I bought, and it lives with the project, and it's actually out there, but I'm pretty sure it's a size D. And I have tons of ends that need to be woven in, because basically I'm mostly doing magic knots, but then I'm just weaving the ends in with a crochet hook. So, like, I'm not technically doing the magic knots, because technically when you do the magic knot, you can clip the ends and they should stay together, but I am not doing that, so you can see the ends sticking out. But I have put 4 or 5 rows on this week. So I just thought it would be fun to show you. I think I was at the, I think I've done like, yeah, 5 rows, because I think I was at this pale blue when I started this time around, and then I just have put the other ones on. This is just a crazy, funky leftovers pattern. I don't remember how many stitches wide it is. It's on my Ravelry project page, I'm pretty sure. I started it almost a year ago, probably. It will be a project forever, because as you can see, I only have about maybe 1.5 foot done. And it's just going to be, I have a whole bag of scraps still out there. On this one, mostly, well, I started using scraps that I had, that were too small to be worked into like these mitered square blankets. So I started with those. Now I'm working through some larger bits, because I don't have one of these on the needles, and I don't know how soon I'll do another one of those, because 2 was kind of enough for me. So I just sat down with the crochet hook and did a row or 2 a night on some of the nights this week, and I am super, super pleased with it. It's bright, it makes me happy, and I know I don't need another blanket, but I just love it. And it's all the little bits of yarn that I've used from various places, and mini skeins and other projects, and so it's just kind of fun. So that is the other thing that I touched this week, so I thought I'd bring it back. Now I have basically 5 days this week, well 6 if you count today, to work on knitting projects. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some of the sweaters that I have put down and work on those for a little while. Of course, I'll cast on for my new sweater on September 1st. I have a couple sock yarns coming that I will be either reviewing or things that I want to cast on right away. I bought yarn this week for the first time in a while. I bought some yarn so that I can make Wes another pair of felted slippers for Christmas. So, because he has worn through his, and I know it'll take me a little while to work up to knitting them, and then I got to take them to the laundromat to felt them. He loves those slippers. I've knit them a million times. They are the felted clogs, Fiber Trends felted clogs by Bev Gillespie. I think it's pattern number A133. I have a hard copy that I bought ages ago in the yarn store in Los Angeles when I was working there, and I have knit them a million times over, and Wes loves them and wears them everywhere, and every year or two wears them out. This time I'm going to be trying a new yarn to knit them with, and I have heard mixed reviews on felting with it, but I'm going to hope it felts because it's 100% wool. I am using Briggs & Little Heritage Yarns. I ordered that this week, and I am participating in the Briggs & Little has a holiday knit along that they are doing September 15th through November 15th. And their theme is, it is a holiday knit along, but it's pretty inclusive in terms of you can knit something specifically holiday themed, you can knit something in holiday colors, you can knit something for a holiday gift, or you can just kind of knit something for fall or winter. So it's pretty loose, so I'm going to knit Wes those slippers as his Christmas present. So those are the things that are upcoming to go on my needles. I have a couple sweaters. I want to do more socks for the kids, a couple more hats. So that's probably what you will see in September. And whatever I work on this week, I'll just bring and show you next week. I don't have spinning with me this week, which is fine because we're actually already at 20 minutes. I am in the middle of plying Beelzebubs and Monsters. That was a double bump that I put together. It is purples and pinks and some browns and a little bit of orange. And I got probably 3/4 of the way through plying that last night, and it got too late and I had to go to bed. So I need to finish that today, and then I am starting the braid that I showed you last week, which is last month's club for Hello Yarn. It is called Overfond. It is Tarhi or Targi, and it was in yellows and greens and kind of bright springy colors, and I'm going to spin that today at spinning. So I think that is it for me this week. I know I've talked really fast. If this was your first time coming to view the podcast, welcome. I hope you'll join us in the knit along and stick around and watch more of the podcast. If you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back and spending some time this Sunday morning with me. And I hope that you have a lovely week ahead. I will podcast again next weekend. And until I see you again, I will say happy spinning, happy... my own tagline, and sometimes I don't get it right. Happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!